Good evening. Tonight, we examine a major legal decision affecting Minnesota's immigrant and activist communities. At the center, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, the federal agency enforcing immigration laws. The controversy isn't about ICE's mission, but its methods, especially when facing public protest. Protesters in Minneapolis-St. Paul claim ICE violated their rights, using force and arrest to silence dissent. The legal question: can courts limit ICE's tactics against demonstrators? A lower court said yes, imposing restrictions on ICE agents in Minnesota. The Trump administration appealed, arguing these limits endangered agents and public safety. Yesterday, the Eighth Circuit Court sided with the administration, lifting those restrictions. Now, ICE agents have more freedom to use forceful tactics at protests. Civil rights advocates warn this ruling could chill free speech and escalate risks for protesters. For Minnesota's immigrant communities, the decision brings new uncertainty and fear. To understand the stakes, let's revisit the lower court's order. 6 protesters sued, alleging ICE used force and arrests to suppress peaceful demonstrations. Judge Kate Menendez responded with an injunction. ICE couldn't use force or make arrests at protests without probable cause. The order aimed to protect free speech while allowing ICE to do its job. It barred agents from creating protest-free zones or arresting people simply for being present. The judge found credible evidence of excessive force and intimidation. Civil liberties groups hailed the ruling as a victory for constitutional rights, but the Trump administration saw it as judicial overreach and quickly appealed. The injunction was short-lived, but it briefly gave protesters legal protection. Its reversal set the stage for the current escalation. The Trump administration swiftly challenged Judge Menendez's restrictions. Government lawyers argued that limiting ICE's tactics endangered officers and public safety. They presented video evidence of chaotic protests, insisting agents needed flexibility to respond. The Eighth Circuit agreed, granting a stay that removed all restrictions on ICE's actions during protests. ICE agents in Minnesota can now use force and make arrests without the previous court-imposed limits. Protesters lost their legal shield, facing greater risks at demonstrations. The appeals court hasn't ruled on the case's merits, but its decision signals support for law enforcement discretion. For activists, it's a major setback. For ICE, it's a green light to resume aggressive tactics. This conflict stems from Operation Metro Surge, a Trump-era crackdown targeting undocumented immigrants in Minneapolis-St. Paul. The operation's aggressive raids and public arrests sparked fear in immigrant communities and mobilized local activists. Protesters began monitoring and confronting ICE actions, aiming to protect neighbors and document abuses. Tensions escalated as ICE accused protesters of interfering with federal law, while activists claimed they were targeted for their opposition. The operation overwhelmed local courts with emergency lawsuits alleging due process violations and harsh tactics. Judges found themselves at the center of a national debate over immigration enforcement. Social media fueled rapid protest mobilization, leading to frequent tense standoffs. Protesters say they're punished for speaking out, not for breaking laws. ICE insists crowd hostility justifies a firm response. The legal battle reflects this deep divide. Behind the legal fight are real human tragedies. Court records detail deaths of 2 U.S. citizens during ICE actions, cases still under investigation, stories of families separated, injuries during arrests, and detainees moved out of state to avoid local courts have emerged. A nursing mother from Myanmar was separated from her infant. A Mexican man suffered severe injuries and was shackled in the hospital. Judges have accused ICE of bad faith, even threatening contempt for moving detainees beyond their jurisdiction. These incidents aren't isolated. They form a pattern fueling public outrage. For protesters, these are urgent, personal issues, not abstract legal debates. The community's pain and fear drive continued resistance, despite growing risks. The rift between the judiciary and ICE is deepening. The human cost is at the heart of the ongoing protests. The appeals court's decision is temporary, but its impact is immediate. ICE agents in Minnesota can now use forceful tactics at protests with less judicial oversight. The legal protection for demonstrators is gone, increasing risks of arrest and injury. Immigrant communities feel more vulnerable, fearing encounters with federal agents. Judges across the country, including in Minnesota, have criticized ICE's methods, revealing deep divisions within the judiciary. The legal process will continue, possibly reaching the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, activists must decide how to protest under new risks. The conflict between federal enforcement and local resistance is far from over. Minnesota remains a battleground in the national immigration debate. The case highlights a fundamental clash over rights, power, and the human cost of policy. As the legal fight unfolds, all eyes are on Minnesota.